Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. We're going to try and see if we can resolve a problem that's very common in working with old reels. And this one is a Mitchell 300. It's kind of had a tough life. You can see that there's all kinds of blistering on the paint. It's a rather dirty reel, hasn't been maintained in a while. The chrome plating and the like has come off of the reel. Well, this one was sent in. They asked me to repair it. And when you look at the reel, you're always concerned about these side plate screws, and this one, well, it's butterflied. There's just no way to get that screw out of there. It's frozen. No matter what you try to do, it's not working. So we're going to show you an approach that I use, and hopefully the only thing that's needed is a replacement side plate screw. In some cases that's not possible. In some cases you're going to have to replace the whole arm side of this, but we're going to give it a go. So the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to take off the screws that I can. That'll be this one and one more. And while I do that, I'm going to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. If you like fishing reel repair, if you like to learn the tips and techniques, if you like to understand a little bit more about fishing reels, that's what I try to cover here. The channel is called Second Chance Tackle because, well, we'd like to give these reels a second chance rather than have them just wind up in the parts bins or worse. And we're going to see if we can't get that screw out. Now, I don't have my equipment here, but let me tell you what we'll do. We're going to shut the camera off. We'll come back and we'll do it. I'm going to try and find the center of this screw. I'm going to work with a small, very small bit in my drill press. Try and drill a hole to the center, and then a slightly wider one. Then my goal here is to knock the head off, but not the stud of the screw. If I can do that, there is a chance that the screw that's embedded in the side plate here, the shaft of it, will be able to be worked out with the pliers. If I can't do it, well, then you got to go replace the body. I am not one for retapping skills. I don't have them. So drilling all the way into the case, retapping, that's beyond me. And I have some bodies, so we would take that approach. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to mark the center of the screw and try and come in with a very small bit first and then a slightly larger one. See if we can knock that off. I'll be back in a moment in video time, and we'll see if we made any luck with that. As an interim progress report, that's the first hole that I have drilled in the center of the screw. Now we're going to widen a bit and try and knock the screw head off. Okay, so now we've knocked that the rest of that head out. Moment of truth, we want to see if we can't work that off. There we go. And you can see that, you know, without being able to get that screw out, well, you weren't going to have much use of this reel anyway. Lots of dried grease in the bottom of it. Tons of it over here. This reel obviously hasn't been serviced in quite some time. But now the moment of truth really is, can we get this stud out that remains? And that's why you just wanted to knock the top off, just so that you could get yourself something to grab here. And hopefully even the vibration of that drill bit may have loosened that up. Well, the first thing I like to do is just put a little bit of penetrating oil on there if there's any chance that we can get it out. And then I have one of these little micro pliers, if I can find it. There we go. I'm going to try and grab it and see if we can move that at all. Well, this is a success. This one is one that's going to work, I think. You got to be able to turn it, but I seem to feel like it's turning. So it's not recommended, but if you're down to your last resorts, if you're down to the point where you can't, you have no other options because you have that butterflied screw, then this is the way to go. Well, we got it out. We got it out. And that's the piece that you would be looking for. That's the stud side. And now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and service the reel. And when we get done servicing the reel, we'll find another side plate screw, but we were able to save the side plate here. That's all good, particularly to the owner, because he doesn't have to go buy a new side plate now. And quite honestly, if you had to go purchase the new side plate, well, between servicing this and the new side plate and the age of the reel and the condition of some of this reel, it just may not be worth it. Let's do a quick review of how you take a Mitchell reel apart. This is a 300 reel, one of the most over-engineered reels ever, one of the most popular reels ever. They made these reels in the millions, and you can understand why when you see the technology behind it. This has a multiple gear system. This gear up top here is going to interface with the gear on the rotor. That's going to spin the rotor. This gear here is a double gear. It's going to take the power that you create from the main gear, transfer it to the smaller gear, which is also part of that main gear, spin this. That's going to drive the oscillation gear here. And you can see the oscillation slide underneath, moves up and down when you turn that. Well, what's causing that? Well, on the back end of your oscillation gear, you have three little prongs or studs that are coming out. They're going to ride in these grooves here. And then how does that connect to your shaft? Well, if you take that slide out, if we can, this is so caked with grease it's almost impossible to do that. But while I'm doing that, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel in particular, if you maybe you're working on something, maybe you have a flared screw like we were just talking about, maybe you got a problem you just can't solve. Well, if I can give you any direction and help you solve your issues, I'll try to do that. So leave those questions in the comments section. I'm just going to go get some of this chunky grease out of the way while I'm at it, but I do want to show you, we will clean all of this up and get this back running. And good deal there with the screw. I'm glad we were able to save the side plate. Okay, so there's a stud on the back of that oscillation slide. It runs in the channel here. You can take these two screws off. I'm going to do that in a little bit because I want to clean underneath. But when you remove that stud from that oscillation slide there, your whole axle shaft and spool will come out. That'll enable you to take the rotor off. You can do that now. As I mentioned, I'm going to do this whole reel anyway. This is a Mitchell tool that they use. It's a deep socket. It's a 12mm socket. You can't use a regular wrench here. A regular wrench, well, it's just too steep to try and get in and hold that. You need a deep socket. You do not need the Mitchell tool, but if you have one, well, I keep it on my bench frequently because I do get to use that. You can remove this rotor now. In the rotor, you're going to find a baffle plate. That keeps the noise down. And you're going to see on the back of the baffle plate that there is a hooked tab coming out of that, and there's also shim washers on them. The shim washers are going to set the appropriate height for your bail trip. And the bail trip, this curved arm here is actually going to trip the bail. We'll go ahead and do this. This whole thing needs to be cleaned, and as you know, when you service a reel, you should really take the reel completely apart to the extent needed. You don't need to remove the bail here unless the bail's not working. But you can see the little beak here on that trip lever. Well, that's going to hit the arm that's extended down here. When it goes in cycles, it's going to hit it, it's going to release it, and it's going to trip that bail. We got a little bit of work to do on the bail. It's lost most of its chrome plating or metal plating, whatever that is. We're going to grab a piece of steel wool first. We're going to try and polish out the roughness on this because you've got intermittent pieces of the chrome plating, and then you have where it's lost. That becomes sawtoothed, and that can shred a fishing line. Whether it's braid or mono, it's going to wear it. So we're going to just make it smooth so that that doesn't happen. But back to this one for a moment. We showed you a little bit about how that oscillation slide comes apart. We'll just put this back in for a moment. You really don't need the rotor on it to show you this. You're going to take that slide here, and this has got an uneven throw to it. I was just looking at this. You have to find the 3 studs on this gear set your oscillation slide low, and people have different places where, but if I set it low, and then I put these on the downside as I go to mount it and set it in, I almost always get it correct, where if you spin that now, you're going to see full travel, which is what's happening here. That slide is going up and down completely. If for some reason you didn't do that, let's just say you put it over here, like that, and you start to turn, of course, I can't make it fail now, right? But if you start to turn and you lock up and you're not getting that oscillation, that's because this is misset. Don't panic. Just go back to the top, set the loop here. As I said, I like to mention, I like to do it by having this fully extended down. Find those 3 studs and put them facing downward, and almost all the time it will work properly. So that's it. I hope we given you a good tip there about how to save a side plate. You can see we still have the integrity of the 3 screw holes. This is the one that we had to drill out. We were able, with a little bit of penetrating oil and a small pliers, remove the remaining piece of the shaft. So one of the things about drilling out, don't drill too deep. We just wanted to knock that head out to the extent that we could. And then grab your pliers, work that out, and then find the replacement screw for that, and that wheel can be saved. It'll have a second chance. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and if you did, please like it, and if you want to see more, again, please subscribe. If you do subscribe, please hit that notification button. That'll let you know when I'm posting videos, and you'll be able to choose which ones you want to see. I work on all kinds of videos. Saltwater, freshwater, classic, current reel lines, just about anything that shows up in my shop. If I haven't done one, well, it becomes the star of the day in the video. And sometimes we find problems like this that can help you overcome them. So we do those as well. Well, before I leave, I want to thank our first responders and essential personnel and everybody involved in keeping us safe during the pandemic. Looks like it's back on the rise yet again. What is this, version 5 now? I don't know, it's something crazy. But thank you for your continued dedication to task and continuing to keep us safe there. And to everybody, please stay safe, stay well, and stay watching. And have a great day fishing. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Wishing you all well.